Hey guys, and welcome to my spoiler review for Spider-Man No Way Home. So here is your warning. This video is going to be filled with massive spoilers for Spider-Man No Way Home. If you have not yet watched this movie, I highly recommend bookmarking this video, coming back at another time. You guys do not want to ruin your experience. Trust me, this movie is best seen going in, not knowing what to expect. I have to admit, it exceeded all of my expectations, and I went in pretty hyped and pretty excited. So there's a lot that can be spoiled here. So please, 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 if you have not yet seen this, come back later. Okay, guys, seriously, I don't want to ruin this for anybody, but I need to get all of these things off my chest because this is quite possibly the greatest superhero movie of all time, and I'm not sure that it can be topped. I don't know how they're going to give us another Spider-Man movie after this that's just going to be as good as this story. So let's dive into it. Let's talk about it. But first, if this is your first time here, I'd love it if you take 1 second and hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on more videos like this, movie reviews, television reviews, trailer reactions, and of course also celebrity interviews. Okay, let's dive in to No Way Home. Hey, Tessa from MamasGeeky here. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel. One more warning, guys. Spoilers. There are going to be spoilers for this movie, but there's so much that I need to talk about. Let me just tell you a brief overview. My entire theater, but me specifically, there were moments where I laughed hysterically. The whole theater was laughing. There's moments where I was sobbing like a baby, and I know I was not the only one in that press screening who was sobbing like a baby. I mean, there's so much going on. There's moments you're cheering, you're clapping, you're screaming, you're just so freaking excited, okay? It's so good. Now, I mean, there's so much to love about this movie, so let's just dive into it. Let's say they waste no time, guys. As you could tell from the opening scene that Sony released, it picks up immediately where it left off in that post-credit scene of Far From Home. So Spider-Man's identity has been revealed, and if you saw the opening scene, he grabs MJ, he tries to get out of there because everyone's like kind of starting to attack them, right? They're kind of like on Mysterio's side and what's going on, and you're just a little kid and what's happening. So then he gets to school, and it's funny because his teachers are kind of like, some of them are really excited. They created this whole like shrine to him, like his teacher did, that's played by Martin Starr. Is actually hilarious, and JB Smoove is hilarious in it as well. But then there's other teacher who's all like, Mysterio's right, you know. So they end up having to so he goes through the school, but then he ends up having to go to his own, to like a place Happy has, like a hiding area, right? A safe house, I guess, right? So, because he's like, obviously people are attacking him. You guys know how that works, right? It's always the same. When everyone finds out who Peter Parker is, like some people love him, some people hate him, they think he's a menace, this, that, and the next thing, okay? So he ends up going to Doctor Strange. But the reason he goes to Doctor Strange is that him and MJ and Ned have applied to colleges together. They applied to MIT. They really want to go to MIT. And they get told that in light of recent controversies, they can't even consider their applications. So, obviously, this upsets Peter, right? He doesn't like to see his friends hurt, and this is the Peter Parker that we know. I mean, I love Tom Holland. I think he's a fantastic Peter Parker and Spider-Man, but he really, really comes through with that whole selflessness in this movie. I don't know that he's actually gotten to that point yet, and we get that at the beginning of this movie, but then we really get it at the end of this movie, and we will get there, guys. We will get to that, but this is what I love about this, is that we get that Peter, right? So this is why he decides to go to Doctor Strange to try to change things. And of course, you know, he messes up the spell. Multiverse is opening up. I mean, this is all basically what we've seen in the trailers. This is the plot of the movie. But then shiz gets real. I mean, that bridge scene, by the way, is so early on that I was actually surprised how quickly it happens. And then Doc Ock's like, you're not my Peter. I mean, we've seen the whole thing. Like, who are you? What's going on? And you find out that this is the Doc Ock from right before he, like, sacrifices himself. Like, he was fighting Peter Parker. He was fighting Tobey Maguire when he's brought to this new universe, right? Into the MCU from wherever he was before, his own universe, okay? So these villains are being brought in right before they die, pretty much right before they die, which says a lot, right? Because they're all kind of like messed up, and you know, so we've got Doc Ock, we've got Green Goblin, of course, we've got Electro, of course, we've got Lizard, and we've got Sandman. That's it. We only have 5. I was hoping for a Sinister Six, but I get it. But I was really hoping for a Sinister Six. So that was like the only, that's like a small disappointment that I had, but like the rest of the movie absolutely excels. So I really can't focus on that too much. I will say I was absolutely shocked at Charlie Cox coming in so early. That's something I should mention. He shows up as Matt Murdock. I wish I had not seen that leaked. Still out there. Several people sent it to me, and I'm very mad because I wish I had not seen it, because that would have been an epic surprise. Again, with spoilers ruining things for people, like that would have been amazing, okay? But I digress. Let's move on. Let's just really get into the meat and bones of this. I'm not going to go through every plot point. I'm going to give you my review. So what I love about this movie, like I said, is it brings that Peter Parker that we haven't really seen from Tom Holland. Like, we've seen it a little bit, but we haven't really seen it yet. Now, his interactions with Benedict Cumberbatch, Doctor Strange, are fantastic, okay? It's a lot of fun. It's that humor, playful relationship, but you can tell, like, Doctor Strange really actually cares about this boy, which I really, really enjoyed their chemistry together on screen. Now, we all saw Wong show up in Shang-Chi, and I was glad that they kind of mentioned he, by default, became Sorcerer Supreme. I mean, Doctor Strange is like, well, he's only Sorcerer Supreme because I blipped for 5 years. Like, I thought that was so great. Just a little dig, a little line, and we get Wong a little bit. Now, they did deceive us in the trailer, because in the trailer, Wong says, don't cast that spell, and Doctor Strange says, I won't. Not what happened. He says, leave me out of this, and then he takes off, right? So he basically says, like, fine, go ahead and do it, but, like, I'm leaving. So that, I love when Marvel deceives us in their trailer, and just that little line changes so much of what my speculations were about Doctor Strange going into this. I thought for sure he was that evil what if Doctor Strange, and it's not what happened, right? Then you have so many fights in this. Like, let's talk about the fights and the battles, guys, okay? Because you have that fight that's between Doctor Strange and Spider-Man in the Mirror Realm, and I love that they did that. They took so many of the elements from Doctor Strange and just gave us that in this fight, right? Things twisting and turning and all, you know, they're in the Mirror Realm, and I love that. It's just like the fights from Doctor Strange, which is what I really enjoyed about the bridge scene, and the fights with Doc Ock and Green Goblin are very Sam Raimi. You know what I mean? They're fast zooms, close-ups, you know. They're Sam Raimi. If you guys know what I'm talking about, his style comes through in those moments, which I thought was really amazing and really perfect, right? I love when they do that. Like, this is from this universe. We're going to give you a little glimpse of that cinematography and that director's style, okay? So I thought that was amazing. That was a lot of fun. Of course, the banter between them is fantastic. We get a lot of great Spider-Man banter in this. I'm not going to lie. But listen, then things get crazy. Peter just wants to help. Aunt May convinces him that he just wants to help. Poor Norman Osborn actually goes to see Aunt May because he sees Spider-Man, and he goes on the feast, the sign for that, and he says, you know, oh, I thought Spider-Man could help me, which is just heartbreaking. Like, William Dafoe is so good in this because he's so good as Norman Osborn, and he's so good as Green Goblin that you're just like, it's mind-blowing. Okay, he's so down and out, and I just want help, and I just want to be normal, and I thought Spider-Man could help me, and you're not Spider-Man. What is going on? Like, that moment is absolutely heart-wrenching. And then May convinces Peter, because Peter's kind of like, this isn't my problem, okay? I'm going to capture these guys with this cool little time thingy Doctor Strange gave me, and we're just going to send them back to their universes, and you know what? They're going to die, but that's their destiny, you know? And Aunt May kind of convinces him to help them, right? Says, like, this is up to you, right? They need your help. You're a good person, Peter. You should help them. And that is what starts this downfall of all this craziness that is going to happen. So Doctor Strange's plan is he's got that device, and he's going to hit the button on it, and it is going to stop the spell, like completely destroy the spell, basically, and they'll all go back to where they were, and it will be like it never happened. Ta-da! Well, things get insane. So Peter decides to help them all. He needs to cure them. Send them back. Maybe they'll have a fighting chance. They'll have a second chance, right? Send them all back. Oh my God, I'm already getting emotional thinking about what is to come. So, then he ends up starting to help them, okay? He's able to help Doc Ock first. He fixes the inhibitor chip, which is amazing, right? Otto is back. Otto is very happy. Well, of course, Green Goblin has taken over Norman and doesn't want this to happen. Everything gets crazy. And, Norman kills Aunt May. Which I was so afraid it was going to happen. And then it happened. And then Peter's saying goodbye to her, basically. Knows she's dying. And she tells him that with great power comes great responsibility. Which of course she does, because, you know, it's Uncle Ben who says it. But of course in this version, it's Aunt May. And it's just Peter is like, was that, you know, he's broken, right? You see, it's that same vibe of Toby with Uncle Ben, you know? You're just, it's heartbreaking. And Peter obviously blames himself and takes off. So then we see Ned and MJ, and Ned is playing with this thing Doctor Strange had, and he's all of a sudden able to create portals now. Because Ned is magic. I don't know. It's freaking cool. I'm here for it. I love that. So he asks, wishes to see Peter. But you guys, it's Andrew Garfield's Peter. When he turns around, he comes running through. You see the suit and you know it's him. And he steps through and he takes his mask off and you're just like, oh my gosh, it was so good. And then he is able to, like, it's so funny because they've tried to make him prove that he's Spider-Man. And that's just like the best scene because they're like, climb on the ceiling. Like, MJ's just telling him stuff to do. And they're like, get the cop up while you're up there. Like, it's just silly business stuff, but it's so amazing. And then they're like, okay, we need to get the real Peter. No offense. And they find Toby, and he just steps through. They think he's just like some random guy because he doesn't have a suit on. And he kind of looks a little disheveled, and they're just like, who are you? Like, what's going on? And so you get that moment, and that's when I realized, like, we are getting a lot of Andrew and Toby. And that is what I love about this movie. So again, I'm trying to not make this like plot by plot. I'm trying to give full review. So now that you know, we're about halfway through the movie. We've got Toby and Andrew, and they got to go off and find Tom. Of course, they have to explain to them what has happened in their worlds. And that is where we get this closure that we needed. This amazing Spider-Man 3, if you will, description of what Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man has been going through. He talks about how he lost Gwen. He talks about how he couldn't save her. He talks about where that put him. And he talks about how he just tried to keep going and he just tried to keep saving people. And then he realized that he just became so angry. And he even says at one point, I stopped pulling my punches. You know, in other words, he started going down a dark path. And I love that they got the time to explain that. I would have loved to see it in a third movie, but I digress. So I loved that. And then of course you got Toby, and then Peter's like, before Aunt May died, she said with great power, and they go, comes great responsibility. Uncle Ben said that on the day he died. I guess Aunt May didn't die for nothing, you know, like all this stuff. So they all decide to team up, get the cures. They all work together in a lab to create the cures. And this is some of the best, probably one of the best scenes in the movie is just the three of them actually working together. And they're going back and forth and they're discussing stuff, you know, like a little later on too, right when they're preparing for the final battle, they have conversations about like, wait, you have web blood? Like, you can just create your webs. Does it just come out of your hands? Wrist? Does it come out anywhere else? Have you ever had a web block? Like, what's going on? Like, just their conversations are so good. And they're so great. And Andrew's Peter Parker. I mean, I love Toby and I love Tom, but I felt like Andrew really, really got his moment here. This is his best Spider-Man, easily, portrayal. Like, he's so good in this, and he's so down on himself a little bit. Like, he's really always digging on himself, and Toby kind of, like, brings him back up. He's like, what are you talking about? Like, you're great. You're fantastic. Like, you're amazing, you know? Like, love yourself. And it's so good what we get there. And of course, Toby even at one point says, like, you know, me and MJ, we made it work. So I love it. We're getting that closure and that catch up of what these two Spider-Men have been up to. But we get to see them all work together with the other Spider-Man. And that's some of the best moments, is just them all working together. Whether they're working together to fight in these epic, amazing, beautifully stunning, incredible fight scenes, or whether they're just chit-chatting and discussing each other's like their own lives and like what they've been up to, you know what I mean? And then of course there's sacrifice. And here's the thing, when Tom Holland's Peter realizes that the only way to stop this, the only way to stop everything, and you do see Rhino in the sky, which was really, really, really cool, and Kraven, which was also really, really cool. Just their shadows, right? People are coming through. They're coming through. You get to see, like, they've cured all of them, okay? They've cured Norman. They've cured Sam. They've cured them all. They're ready to send them back and give them a fighting chance. Doctor Strange says it's too late now. I can't stop it. Okay, that's that scene, right? I can't stop it. They're coming through and I can't stop them. And then Peter says, what if you cast a spell to make everyone forget who I am? Will that work? And he says, yes, but everyone who loves you will forget you. It will be like you never existed. And Peter's like, okay, do it. It's the only way to save it, right? This is my mess. It's my responsibility. Fix it. And that moment, again, like I said, that brings Peter to that true selflessness. And when everyone fades away, it's sad. You know, they all go back. He goes and he's saying goodbye to MJ, and she's saying she doesn't want that to happen. Come find me. Ned doesn't want it to happen, you know, because it's not even like it goes back to him and Ned being friends. Like, everyone forgets their relationships with Peter Parker. It's not like Ned and Peter had this relationship beforehand. He's completely wiped from their memories. And so you see towards the end, he goes to find them. He's got like a whole list of stuff he's going to say so that he can kind of get them back in their lives. And when he sees the little cut on MJ's head from the big fight, he realizes he doesn't want to put her in danger. It's very similar to what happened with Toby. I mean, it's very similar to what happens with all of them, you know. Peter doesn't want to put MJ in jeopardy. He decides to just order his coffee and leave. And he does see that the two of them made it to MIT. It's just... And then he goes to visit May's grave, and Happy is there. And how did you know her? Oh, I knew her through Spider-Man. Me too. Like, Happy doesn't even remember who he is, which is just, it's so, this could be the end, okay? And then you see Peter, and he has his own apartment in New York City. He created the classic suit for himself. He sewed it himself. You see the sewing machine, which is amazing. And he's listening to the police scanner, and he's heading out to fight crime, okay? So I love that. You get that. It's like, here we are. This is Peter Parker. This is Spider-Man. This could be the end. I hope it's not, but like, I'm also okay with this being the end. Like this, it felt like there's closure, and it felt like we got closure for Andrew, and it felt like we got closure for Toby. So that is what I love about this. There's that closure. But I secretly really want more. I mean, listen, if MJ and Ned are going to MIT, I mean, I know he's in New York, but maybe eventually he'll get out there. I don't know. I just want more. But, all right. Overview of my review. You guys have already probably seen my spoiler-free review now, so you know, like, I love the heart, the emotional ties in this. There's incredible fight scenes. The villains all have their own little story arcs, which I absolutely love, because I feel like Doc Ock got redemption. I feel like Norman Osborn got redemption. I mean, I feel like they all got redemption. And then, of course, Andrew, when he saves MJ, and he puts her down, and she asks him, "Are you okay?" That's one of my favorite moments of the movie, because it's just like, this is what he needed. And I just became so happy for him. And I know that's so stupid, but like, there's redemption here for everybody. There's redemption here for everybody. And I just absolutely love it. And hopefully Doctor Strange will get some redemption in Multiverse of Madness. But I mean, listen, it's just such a well done movie. This is a love letter to Spider-Man. It's a love letter to Peter Parker. It's so emotional because there's so much to love about this. But it's heartbreaking. It's heart-wrenching. But that's the story of Peter Parker, isn't it? Isn't it? Poor Peter Parker. He never chooses himself. And he never will. And that's the proof, right? He will never choose himself. That's just not who he is. So there's so much to love about this movie. There's so many callbacks to all the other films. And it's just, it gives each character a solid ending, right? You learn where they've been. Again, that's what I loved about Andrew's moments, is you learn where he's been and what's going on. Of course, you get this Peter who has now lost his aunt, right? It's basically like his Uncle Ben, right? And with great power comes great responsibility. We've set it up. So do I want more? Yes. Is this a satisfying ending? Yes. You guys let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Be sure to give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. You guys can follow me over on Instagram and Twitter. I'm at MamasGeeky over there. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much to all of my monetary supporters, my members here on YouTube, as well as my patrons. If you haven't joined yet, please consider doing so. We have some really awesome perks, including a monthly Zoom meeting where we get to talk face to face. Thank you again to everyone who supports me.